happen as the show happened. So she was a very interesting character to play for me because I felt like there was so much going on and so many layers. You know, there's definitely parts of myself that I can see in her, but I found her very different from myself too, which was fun to play.
So that's, you know what, with actors, I always feel like this is how I felt after I saw The Joker, okay? I felt like I won't even know how the main actor, I can't pronounce his name properly. He's literally, yes, thank you, literally a legend. Like, how do you even function after pouring so much, you know, of yourself, or not even of yourself, of filling up yourself on this, like, complete different identity? Like, after you're done playing such a role, or even your roles that you play, you have to be so consumed. You have to think like that character. Like, how do you even go back to, because is it really like, okay, I'm done?
I mean, I feel like what I've done in the roles that I've played can't even compare to what Joaquin Phoenix did in The Joker, like, by like, not even remotely close, like,
it's
different ballgame.
Yes.
I don't know how, like, you know, I'd love to play roles like that one day where I have to, you know, go so outside myself and put myself so much in someone else's shoes, and I thought he was so incredible in that role. I would love to have a conversation one day and just be like, what did you do?
I know.
But yeah, it's interesting. I find I have to be really good at making sure that, like, when I'm at work and I'm playing the character, that's work, and then I have to let it go when I come home and try not to bring it home with me, which is hard sometimes. Like, you know, there's been a couple times where I've played characters that have gone through really traumatic things, and then, you know, you kind of carry it and you don't even really realize that you're carrying it. But I think it's really good to have, like, I try and make sure that I have ways to, like, ground myself when I get home, and I think a big part of that is the people that I spend time with, my family and my friends, to make sure that, like, when I do come home, I am able to just be like, oh, this is me, and that was so-and-so, that was the character, so that I can let it go and be, you know, not consumed by what's happening.
So, kind of talking about going back to, you know, being an actress and being in this world, I feel like you hear so many rejections, like you hear so much no, and that, you know, you don't fit a certain role, and it might sometimes happen where it's just like one after the other and another and another and another. How do you keep, like, motivated and that spark of just like, I'm going to keep, you know, doing this because I know something will happen?
I mean, I've been doing it for so long, and you know, there's times where I'm like, I feel like I'm getting stronger and I'm getting better at taking the rejection, and then there's times where you think, this part's mine, and then you just don't get it, and I feel like there's a certain part of it that doesn't always get easier. Like, I talk with my younger sister about it a lot, who, you know, same thing, she's had many ups and downs, and it's hard. You get attached. It's inevitable. You pour your heart into something and you think you're right for it, and then I think for me, it's that I have to remind myself that everybody brings something different to a character. And like, a lot of my girlfriends are actors as well. But I'm never jealous if they get a part over me, because I know what they're bringing to a character is so different. So I have to remember that what I have is unique, and what I bring is good, and it will fit something perfectly for another character. It's inevitable that I'm going to get disappointed.
But not discouraged.
Not discouraged. I mean, I think it's that reminder that, like, something will fit. Like, my talent, my look, my everything will fit perfectly for another role. And you just kind of have to keep pushing through and remembering why you do it and how it feels when you do get to play those parts. But it's hard not to get discouraged. This industry's so up and down all the time. That, like,
yes, I mean, I also see so many people. You've been doing it from a very young age, and I feel like, you know, when you're doing it from a young age, we're inevitably, as young women, we go through these periods in our lives where we're so insecure, and, you know, our kind of worth is, you know, we're giving that power to our friends and the society and all that stuff. And then if you bring to the mix being in an industry that constantly you have to go out there, put yourself out there, trying to fit a certain like mold or a role, and then you get rejected. Like as a young woman that's still forming, that's, you know, that's where for me I'm just like, how do you deal with that? Because when you're 25, when you're 27, you kind of like, you find your voice, you kind of understand, you know, your strengths, your weaknesses, and you can get to a place where it's like, I'm not jealous of anyone else because it wasn't right. But when you're 16, you know, when you're like 14, how do you leave the audition and being like, I'm just not good enough?
I mean, I definitely did. I think I was very lucky that I had super supportive parents, but also growing up, that wasn't all that I did. My parents made sure that growing up at, 16, 17, I was still in high school. I was still playing sports. I was still doing other things to build my character and who I was, so that it wasn't just solely based on the validation of the industry. I feel like if I had been solely put into that, then I would have based so much of my self-worth on the judgment of other people, which you do, and I did. But I think it was really important that I did do other things growing up as well. And my parents were really good about it too. You know, it's funny now talking to my mom about it so much later, and I didn't realize how hard the rejection was on her. Like how she would see, they would spend hours driving me to auditions and callbacks and tests and all sorts of stuff, and now to hear her talk about seeing me hurt, whereas like I feel like I was kind of the type of person I would bounce back pretty quickly, but she would be still upset on my behalf, and and so it's interesting how it kind of affects everybody. But I think I had a really good support system in my family, which I think is what helped me not base all of my validation of who I was on the rejection of it from people, because they're fully judging you on like, you're not tall enough, you're not blonde enough.
But I feel like you say a line and they're like, that's fine, thank you.
Yeah. It's just, what? Like, wow, I just memorized 12 pages for you to like not even look up from your phone. Great.
I don't know, by the way, how that happens. How do you memorize lines? It just boggles my mind. I don't know how you guys operate. That's just that's a whole other skill.
I know some people who have to run it a whole bunch of times. I'm pretty lucky. I've got a pretty good memory. I just read it a few times and get it. But what's interesting on the show that I'm doing now on nurses, because there's so much medical jargon that I have to say, and I'm the kind of person that I can't memorize something unless I know what it means. So I have to look up and fully understand all the medical terms before I can memorize it, because if it's not like attached to anything in my brain, it'll just go out my ears. I was like, I don't know.
Well, that makes sense though. You have to really understand what you're saying in order to like even remember what you're supposed to say. But tell me a little bit more about Nurses. So this is a new show that you are part of, and what's the deal with Nurses?
So our first season premiered. We filmed it. Actually, we just wrapped a year ago. Like almost exactly. And we premiered in January on Global. It's a 10-part series that follows 5 rookie nurses at like the kind of beginning stages of their career, and the ups and downs and trials and tribulations of working in the ER as a nurse. But also, it's not just that. Like you see a lot of their personal lives and their character development and their relationships with each other and other relationships, which is I think what makes it a little bit more interesting than just medical stuff all the time. And we got, before the first season aired, we got greenlit for a second season, which is really exciting, which we were filming in Toronto right when this whole thing happened. So we had filmed like an episode and a half, and then our production shut down and they sent me back home to Vancouver. So I was like, but when all of this is, kind of blown over a little bit and it's safe for us all to go back to work, we'll get back to filming the second season, which we don't have an air date for, but probably sometime next year, which will be exciting. So.
Oh, that's amazing. Okay, people are going crazy on this Riverdale. Wow. They're like, I miss you on Riverdale. What's up with the twins? There's just so much going on.
I know. I haven't been on in a while. I've been, there's so many storylines on that show that they've just got so much going
Oh
on.
my
I don't
God.
even know what's happening at that point. I've kind of lost track a little bit with where the characters are. But I don't know what's up with Polly. I'd love to come back. Like, I love the cast and the show, but we'll see.
Hopefully, I feel like from what I see, people really need Polly back. So hopefully, Polly will come back.
People are concerned about the twins. They're like, "Where's the twins?"
I know, that's so interesting.
Where's the twins?
I need to catch up on so much, so I'm gonna familiarize myself with all of this. I have a few like fireside questions for you, if you don't mind. So, what is the most rewarding experience for you in your career?
I think for me, it was probably my character on Once Upon a Time, because I had so many people reach out saying, you know, how inspired they were, and how seeing a lesbian relationship on the show gave them courage to come out or to, you know, be more honest with themselves. And so I feel like the response that I got from that character, from the fans, was just like the most rewarding thing. It was amazing.
That's true. I can imagine like getting those messages, especially on a subject that's so, you know, there's just so much education and work and help that needs to be poured in there. So, wow, that's amazing. What is the most valuable lesson you've learned so far in your career?
Interesting. I think for me, I didn't think about that one.
It's a big one.
It is a big one. I think because a career can take so much from you as a person, and with the rejection and the up and down, I feel like it can be so taxing that I think the biggest thing that I've learned is it is so rewarding and it is so wonderful, but you also have to have such a strong personal foundation in your own character and in your family life, in your home life, so that at the end of the day you have, you know, something, you're strong in yourself. Because I feel like if I don't know myself and